So basically, interoception is kind of like every person has this sense of awareness of their body. So like when you're laying still in your bed, you tend to notice like how fast your heart is racing or how slowly it's going. Like you can tell that if your heart is racing fast, most people can tell I must be stressed, I must be scared. Like you can associate an emotion to what you're feeling to your body. Or you can tell like if your muscles are tensing up or if your muscles are relaxed and loose. It's the same thing with your stomach. You can feel if your stomach is tightening up or all these signals that your body would give your brain to kind of hint at what you might be feeling or maybe predict something you might be experiencing soon. Now,
Hmm.
the thing with that is when that becomes disrupted in your system, then that can also lead to difficulties with not just like the physical aspects, like we're talking about like things like getting sick and things like that, but it can also lead to challenges with like the emotional aspect. Cause like, for example, if you can't really feel or understand the feeling of your chest tightening, you might not be aware that you are currently feeling stress or anxiety. So like that's
Hmm.
why interoception is such an important component when it comes to autism because it can impact things like whether or not you have an accident on your way to the bathroom or whether or not you respond appropriately to the emotion that you're experiencing, basically.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned kind of the emotional element because I didn't even think about it until you just mentioned it. But I'm thinking of our youngest, and sometimes it'll just be she'll go from everything is perfectly fine to kind of her kind of like in tears crying, and then when we ask her like, hey, like what's going on, what's wrong, she'll just kind of say like, I'm sad. And then like obviously like we'll comfort her and give her like a hug and try and figure out like why are you feeling sad or what. I mean, it might be something as simple as like she hears a song that somehow triggers a very emotional response for her. But I didn't even think about that. But it's a complete flipping a switch, normal to, I mean, full blown like tears and just very, very sad and no notice whatsoever. And then we're kind of like, what just happened? But I wonder if that could also be kind of linked to it as well. I didn't even put the two together actually.
Yeah, honestly, if you think about like that specific scenario, it could be that like the sadness that she's feeling is being triggered by whatever physical thing she's feeling at the time. So like something can make her it okay, remember when little kids like when they're very little, let's say they're like 2 or 3, that when they get scared, their reaction is more like to cry and be sad. And usually
Right.
that's kind of like initially because they're associating that sensation that they got in their body when they were scared with something that they don't like and therefore they're sad. It's not that
Hmm.
the scary thing made them sad. It's that, it's kind of like the cycle of like it triggers a response and then they're sad because of the feeling of the response, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
I
So
guess that
it's
makes
kind of
sense.
like, yeah, it's kind of like we all feel emotions differently in our bodies. So, like, for example, if you're going to be speaking in public, your body might feel a specific way. So, you might get like that heart racing feeling, you might get shaky, your breathing can get shallow. And these sensations are the things that let us know that we're feeling nervous. So, if you can't clearly feel these sensations, then it's difficult for an autistic person to be able to identify the emotion that they're feeling. If that
Hmm.
hopefully that makes sense. It's a little complex to explain.
No, no, no. I mean, I think it overall, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and then the thing with, our eldest is that we've kind of noticed that she gets kind of stressed easily, and whenever she gets stressed or highly distracted with something, it almost seems like she loses her ability to kind of pay attention to those body signals, and even when she is paying attention, it's like it has to be at a quite high intensity or it has to be like, for example, if she has to use the restroom, it's gotta be like she really has to go before she finally gets that signal to her brain that says she has to go. So it's kind of like
Right.
always playing a game of like chicken where you don't know if you're gonna like make it or not.
Right. And that's why, I mean, as far as like definitely like prompting like periodically, especially if she's drinking a lot of, I mean, water or whatever, just kind of prompting like, oh, do you need to use the restroom? Do you need to use the restroom? Just kind of like jogging her memory a little bit like, oh, okay, like if we kind of stop or try and have her kind of stop what she's focusing on and kind of disrupt it a little bit, where she's able to at least think long enough to like, do I need to use the restroom? Sometimes we're able to kind of catch her in that moment when then she's like, oh, okay, I do.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Embracing Autism IRL podcast. Check out the full episode on our channel and don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share to help us continue to spread more awareness. And if you'd like to support what we do, make sure to visit our website at autismwish.org and click on Give to find out how you can help our mission of spreading acceptance and awareness. Your generosity helps us sustain our mission, keep our website running, and our podcast going so we can focus on continuing to reach thousands of autism families across the world. Thanks.